Welcome to the Outliers Inn, produced by the Operational Excellence Society and sponsored by Zonatech Consulting Group International, with your hosts, Joseph Paris and David Schneider. Welcome to the Outliers Inn. I'm your host, Joseph Paris, and with me today I have a new co-host, as we telegraphed in our last episode, as Antler Boy took a powder and decided to leave us for more lucrative endeavors, I guess, because I don't know if you all know this, but we make riches on this podcast, gobs and gobs and heaps of cash. And that's why we afford a shack that's looking like this. It's about all we can do. The only thing that is actually new on our shack is the sign. And that's held up by virtual nails that are supposedly very shiny. So I would like to introduce to you all today the new co-host, who won't necessarily fill Antler Boy's shoes. He walks in his own shoes. David Schneider. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, you and I have known each other for quite some time.
Over a decade.
First met, over a decade. Has it been that long? Yeah, it has been that long because I still lived in America. And we met in New York City, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. I rode the train from Philadelphia up to New York to meet with you, and we didn't enjoy cigars, but we did enjoy some very good bourbon.
Yeah, I remember that. That was quite nice. So we met, if I'm not mistaken, we virtually met initially on LinkedIn. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you reached out and said, I've got to master logistician. I've got to meet a master logistician.
And that's supposedly what you do, right? I mean, when you're not tending bar here at the inn, what do you normally do?
Well, what do I normally do? I do logistics. Getting stuff from point A to point B. And
so you're a truck driver?
No, more of putting logistic systems together, networks together. Clients hire me to help them figure out their logistics and their supply chain. I just wrapped up a project with a small client where we did physical inventory. I'll leave tomorrow afternoon for an e-commerce client to help them walk through issues that they have on the inbound side and dealing with errant UPCs that they're getting from vendors. Will meet with attorneys on Monday also to talk about a legal case that they want me to come in as an expert witness. So a wide variety of projects come across my desk.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, you and I have had countless conversations over the times that we've met. And when Antler Boy decided that, he was, that something had to be cut from his task load, and this was it, you were the first person that I thought of as, stepping in as the new co-host. I think that you're a very, very bright individual. I think that you're, have the properly arid sense of humor that's necessary to tend bar and serve our guests here at the inn. So I'm looking forward to having a series of great episodes with you.
I'm looking forward to it. Part of the conversations you and I were having before Antler Boy took his hike was a discussion about some of the craziness that we see in business from our consulting practices, the insanity, as I sometimes refer to it as.
Well, it's funny that when you mentioned that, when you said, geez, Joe, let's have another podcast. I was like, geez, I already got 2 going. And then I had a third one that I was starting with Supercharged Supply Chain. And I was like, man, I really would like to do this with you, David. And by the way, we should probably call you by your Outliers Inn moniker, Mule. and we'll get to that in a second. But when we're talking about it, I was like, you know what? That's really what I wanted Outliers Inn to be about in the first place. Was the absurdities, being able to laugh at ourselves and the stupid things that we do, whether on purpose or inadvertently, because there's a lot of humor to be found. And I think that we just have to learn how to recognize it again in a Mel Brooks kind of way. When Antler Boy decided that he wanted to bow out, I was like, awesome. I'm going to give David a call, because I think that he could make this show, or help make the show back to what I had hoped for in the first place.
I think my decision took about 27 or 28 milliseconds.
Yeah, I think so too. I was like, where do I start? That's super.
I'm ready to go, dude. Let's rock.
So how did you get the nickname Mule?
How did I get the nickname Mule? Well, it's actually a shortened version of something else. Way back in ancient days, I was an ink-stained wretch, which ink-stained wretches are people who would scribble for the newspaper. I was also a photographer, mainly a newspaper photographer. And around that time, there was a TV show that came out that starred Ed Asner, all about television, or not television, but a newspaper newsroom. And they had a character on there that was called Animal. And Animal was the press photographer. And friends of mine and fellow students, because I was still in school at the time, all started calling me Animal. And I didn't really appreciate the nickname all that much, but one of my fraternity brothers decided that no, Animal didn't fit either. It started to morph, and it became Annie Mule, and then just simply Mule. And Mule stuck because a few highlights about mules. Mules are a combination of horses and donkeys, and they can't reproduce. Now, I can reproduce. I've got two beautiful daughters, but mules are also, because of that lack of being able to reproduce, they won't jump out of perfectly good airplanes. You can get horses. You can put a parachute on the back of a horse and push them out of an airplane. The Army paratroops proved that in World War II. A lot of the horses died of heart attacks on the way down because it was a view that they had never seen before. They tried to do it with mules, and the mules refused to get out of the airplane. In fact, the mule almost crashed the airplane because he started kicking so hard that he tore out some of the internals of the airplane. No, I'm not getting out of this airplane. I sometimes can be stubborn, very, matter of the fact. The other thing that is that where a lot of people will give up on something, I don't. And that's another part of the stubbornness. Doesn't matter how hard the task is, I'll power through it and get it done where others will fail. And that's part of the reason why some of my clients call me, because they know that they're going to get the job's going to get done if they bring me in. And so the joke is, if you want this hard work done, you got to call in the mule.
So they never thought about putting the mules in the Bombay?
No.
And taking the decision-making process away from them?
No.
I guess not.
No, because I think the mule would have looked at it and said, F you, I'm not going there.
So let's talk about a little bit of some of the changes in the show. Obviously, sure. We've gone video. All right. We didn't go video with Antler Boy, mostly because his internet was notoriously terrible. Even though he was like across the street from MI5 or whatever it was in London there when he had his office, his internet was abysmal. It would fail all the time. And so we thought doing video would be a bridge too far. Plus, he's got a face for radio. Let's just face it. So we never did the video podcast with him.
I remember several episodes of you saying that you had the face for video.
Well, yeah, but see, now with makeup and with artificial intelligence and things like that, these virtual backgrounds that distract, I'm starting to feel comfortable in front of the camera here. But our guests, when they call in, will not be on camera. So the only two people who will be on camera will be you and I. And the guests, we could hear their voice. We could even see their name flashing across the bottom of the screen. But we will not, they will not be video on the session. It'll just be you and I. So I think that'll be a really good mix. It's going to be, of course, a little bit more difficult. Not that we did a lot of editing in the past. In fact, I think the man in the back room, Chaz, I think the only thing he does is sprinkle a couple of bleeps in there every once in a while if people start using some colorful metaphors. But other than that, the editing has always been very, very light touch. So that's probably the biggest difference.
Chaz's bleep button may get some more exercise with me on board. So
yeah, I have a sense for that. I mean, I'm supposedly the New Yorker. You're not, and but you speak fluent New Yorker. People might not be able to tell the difference.
Well, that comes from 13 years of living in Philadelphia.
Okay, Philadelphia. Yeah, well, yes, they could put New Yorkers, give them a run for their money. That's
for sure.
Another thing that Benjamin lamented on several occasions was the lack of diversity of our guests, and I want to touch upon that a little bit. It's true that we don't have the swath of humanity that come to join us. But that's not by design. I mean, we advertise as being open and inclusive to everybody. I mean, everybody that walks in the door is welcome. They don't even have to buy them a drink. In fact, I'll buy them the drink just for walking through the door. So I can never understand why we didn't get more different people coming through the door. You've been a guest and you've been a fan. Could you figure it out, or do you have any insights there how we can make that better?
Well, there's a couple of things that are under play here. First off, this is the Outliers Inn. So the Outliers are, a small subset of the total universe. And so if you think about it, the outliers they're far and few between. The true outliers in any industry are far and few between. And I don't think that they naturally fall to any gender or race or color or creed. It's just that there's not a lot of them. Right. And so, finding true outliers that are also diverse becomes much more of a challenge, because diversity also brings mediocrity to play. And a lot of your guests aren't mediocre at all. And they haven't been in the past. And I don't plan on bringing guests here that are, to the future. But part of what we can do, and I've already done is because of my practice, I have had the pleasure of working with some true outliers that are also diverse. Female Indian, a female nursing manager. Several. I've been blessed to work with some very, very smart women that also can swear a blue streak. So we'll bring some more of those folks on, but part of it is when we run into these outliers, inviting them. And that's actively what I've been doing more and more is talking to people, talking to past clients, talking to people that I've worked with in my career, and going, you know what, I think that you'd have fun doing this. And there's several of them that are now going, bring it on. I'm ready. And I've told them, well, come thirsty and come hungry, and we'll take care of you at the end.
Sounds great. There was one when Benjamin or Antler Boy brought this up the first time. we have an open mic. That's what it is. We advertise open mic on the internet. Anybody wants to register can register. Well, in order to sort of force the diversity issue, I decided to come up with a specific episode called Ladies Night. Okay. And it wasn't ladies with an IES, it was lady apostrophe S. Okay. Because I wanted it to belong to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we had a couple of women join that night, but you would not believe the backlash I got, that being a sexist thing to do from women. And I was like, you can't win for losing sometimes. Here I am, this is an issue that has been brought up. We specifically try to proactively target a demographic that was underrepresented, and I get a rash of shit for it. And it's like, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. We're just going to go back and make sure that it's open mic. Anybody can join. We did have a repeat guest a couple of times, Mandolin, you probably heard her.
Mm-hmm.
And she shared with us her songwriting and singing skills. That was about as outlier as we've ever had on the Outliers Inn. But, that is the true spirit of the Inn, right? So it's not like we can, even though it's not business, it's about outliers and people that are, not mainstream. So, even though it was definitely an outlier, I said, this is actually pretty cool that she found us. And by the way, how did she find us? She likes to sing. And of course, under COVID, you're on lockdown, you're not allowed to go to clubs and whatnot. And, she was just surfing the internet for open mic events that she could, join and share. And, that was what we're, billing ourselves as an open mic. And she thought, of course, it was, singing and poetry reading and stuff like that. And of course it wasn't, but, it was all cool by me.
Yeah. Well, and she still came and had a good time, was an outlier in another sense that, you know what, I'm casting it out there. I'm going to try something. And when it didn't fit what her initial impression was, she didn't kill it. She went with it.
Yeah, right.
And that's also an outlier behavior. Yeah. Because there's so many people that if it doesn't fit their preconceived notion, they call it trash.
Right. So I guess if you're mediocre and mainstream, you shouldn't come. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, mediocre or mainstream, don't complain.
Yeah.
Just come and join and have fun. And you might find that if you come and play and participate, you may not get a participation award, but you will get some enjoyment and some knowledge and education through the process.
Yeah.
So that's been my viewpoint throughout life is that, few things work out exactly as you envisioned it. What you end up getting in the end may not be what you want, but it is what you needed. And, I'll borrow that Rolling Stones line and use it every time I can.
Awesome. Well, listen, let's we could cut it short here today. I just wanted to make sure that we introduced you, Mule, as the new co-host of the Outliers Inn. Share with everybody a little bit of the change in format. Maybe implore people to be a little bit more bold and decide to join us. So thanks a lot, Mule, for that.
You're welcome, Joe. And thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking very much forward to all of our future conversations.
Awesome. So as they say, don't drive like my brother.
Oh, and definitely don't drive like my brother.
Thanks.
Take care.
You have been listening to another episode of the Outliers Inn with your hosts, Joseph Paris and David Schneider. This program is produced by the Operational Excellence Society and sponsored by Zonatech Consulting Group International.